a lot about the sugar in food, but what about salt? How much is too much? And is there any danger in eating too much? Well, the American Medical Association recommends most people should aim for less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, the equivalent of 1 teaspoon of salt. The American Medical Association also recommends 1,500 milligrams a day or less for people over 51, African Americans, people with high blood pressure and diabetes or chronic kidney disease. There are many health risks associated with a high salt diet. High sodium may have a negative effect on your body's levels of vitamin D. It can also increase calcium losses, bad news for bone density, contribute to the development of kidney stones, increase blood pressure, and increase the risk for stroke.
How to reduce your salt intake. Limiting your daily salt intake can help prevent major diseases. Here's how to cut back. You will need low or no sodium packaged food, herbs, vinegar, and lemons. Step 1. Read labels when you shop. If salt or sodium chloride is one of the first ingredients listed on the label, don't buy the product. Step 2. Avoid high sodium foods such as chips, salted nuts, and dressings. If you must eat them, try the low sodium versions. Step 3. Buy fresh or plain frozen vegetables. Most processed foods have salt added for taste and as a preservative. When buying canned vegetables, look for ones labeled no salt added. Processed foods account for most of the sodium and salt we consume. Step 4. Rinse any canned foods that do contain sodium under running water to get rid of excess salt. Step 5. Flavor foods with herbs, vinegar, and lemon instead of bouillon cubes and sauces, which are high in sodium. Step 6. Don't put additional salt on your food. Remove the salt shaker from the dinner table. Kosher salt, sea salt, garlic salt, onion salt, and many prepared spices have no less sodium than table salt. Step 7. Go to restaurants that will prepare your food with low or no salt. Step 8. Don't eat fast food. Fast food is notoriously high in salt. Did you know? Among the many uses for salt other than in your diet are soothing bee stings, repelling fleas, and cleaning cutting boards.
Did you know that throughout history, salt has often been more valuable than gold? And there's a good reason. Aside from being an important food preservative and making what we eat tastier, salt is essential for human life. But in larger quantities, salt can also be deadly. The components of salt, sodium and chloride, play a major role in our health. And salt is in a delicate balance with the amount of water in our bodies. But too much salt can raise blood pressure, and that can lead to all sorts of serious health problems, like an increased risk for heart attack, heart failure, stroke, kidney disease, and probably even stomach cancer and osteoporosis. The average American man eats about 10 grams of salt a day, and the average American woman eats about 7 grams. That's way too much, probably more than twice what is healthy. And if you're over 50 or have other risk factors, you should eat even less. A lot of people think that all the commotion about excess salt and high blood pressure doesn't apply to them, but actually about a third of adults already have hypertension and another third have pre-hypertension. High blood pressure and the health challenges it leads to are a really big deal. Heart attack is the #1 cause of death in the United States, and stroke is the third. About 100,000 deaths each year have been linked to simply eating too much salt. There are a number of ways to lower your salt intake. Toss the salt shaker and don't add salt to the foods you make. Ask restaurants not to add salt to your dishes either. Another good idea is to check sodium content on labels. Did you know that about 75% of the salt we eat comes from processed foods like breads, cereals, soups, deli meats, fish, and poultry? And don't even get me started on fast foods. Salt hasn't traditionally been regulated by the US government because it's been considered G.R.A.S, or generally recognized as safe. But a national coalition has been working recently to require food manufacturers to limit the amount of salt they put in their products. It's already worked in the UK, Ireland, and Finland, and Japan, Australia, and Canada are also on board with this public health initiative. Now, I know from my work as a nutritionist that change is difficult for a lot of people, even when the facts are clear and compelling. But the good news is, I also know that a person's sensitivity to salt can be reset within about 3 to 4 months. So by slowly reducing your high salt intake, your taste buds can adjust to and appreciate the full range of flavors without feeling meals are bland. Now that's good advice worth its weight in salt.